Okay, so today on a special edition of Muddy Beards 4x4, I am working on a Toyota. It's a 2016 Toyota Tacoma. It's my buddy's. We're going to be putting on a spacer lift kit for the front because he installed some BF Goodrich all-terrain tires, KO2s, that are now rubbing just a little bit. Want to bring the front up a little bit so it doesn't rub. So he ended up putting these SCS Stealth Custom Series rims on here, really nice, and switched to the BF Goodrich all-terrain KO2s. They're 265 75 R16, which the factory on this truck is a 260, right? 265 70 R16. So technically not that much bigger, but when you add this all-terrain tire, it ends up being actually significantly bigger and looks a lot better. But you run into a rubbing issue, which you can see right here is rubbing a little bit on this upper control arm, which the lift probably isn't going to help with that, but it's not rubbing that bad, just a tiny little bit when he backs up in reverse. And he kind of trimmed up the front here a little bit and used the heat gun to kind of push it in to get a little more clearance. And then back down in here, he trimmed up this a little bit. So hopefully with this 2-inch spacer lift, which we'll be installing up here, it will give him a little bit more clearance, and so it doesn't rub as bad, and it's going to look a little bit better. Okay, so we got the tire off, and we got it up on jack stands on the frame, so it's nice and safe. My favorite tool in my toolbox, wobbly sockets. Best thing I ever spent money on, and a 3/8 inch air ratchet, or air impact. I use these combo like 90% of the time on pretty much everything. Okay, so I got this driver's side strut out. So I ended up taking, like I said, I took the upper control arm nut out and the steering arm and the sway bar, and I was able to remove the lower shock bolt and then basically kind of work it out. Here's the spacer kit right here. It's pretty cool, should be pretty easy. When you put it on here, it actually sticks up above this flat surface. So we're gonna have to grind that down with the cutoff wheels to make sure it's flat, flush with this. So what I'm gonna do, I'm just gonna take, that was loud, take the nut and actually put it on to the level that I want, and I'll use my cutoff wheel to just cut the top nub of this off. And that way I know I'm not gonna mess any of the threads up underneath here, and if for some reason I do, which I won't, it'll just cut the threads out when I take it off, and it should go right back on. We will be using my Loctite and installing this and throwing it back in.
No torquing?
Loctite and the impact. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
This one I'll torque properly because I can't get my impact in there. I don't want to over torque this one because, for sure, because this is aluminum and you don't want to strip it out because that would be a bad day and a waste of, how much were these? 100 bucks?
No.
50 bucks?
60 bucks.
Oh no. Oh no. Oh no.
No space.
Oh no. Oh, so look.
You can just
Okay, so wrong one. Wrong one. False alarm. False alarm. Wrong nut. So there is other ways to take this apart, like taking the lower control arms off, basically taking the whole lower control arm, loosening them up, lower ball joint, and basically dropping it out the bottom. But this is where your adjustment for your alignment is. And so if you plan on getting alignment, which you should get in alignment after you do this, but maybe some people don't, I don't know. This would be the way to do it if you don't want to spend the money to do an alignment, which you probably should do. So I'm going to torque these wheels down. Make sure that you guys torque your wheels, it's really important. You don't want them to be coming off, and you don't want to over tighten them by just hitting them with your impact wrench, although that does work pretty good most of the time. I'm torquing these to 90. I think they're supposed to be like 81 or 83 or something like that, but 90 should be fine. Okay, with that front spacer lift all buttoned up, looks pretty good. but he decided that he wanted to raise the rear up just a little bit, so he purchased the 2-inch Toytec rear spacer block kit. So all it is a spacer, usually aluminum, that goes under or over the leaf spring, depending on the vehicle, and it comes with new U-bolts, basic hand tools, and a torque wrench is really all you need to do it. You can do it yourself in your garage, just like he did. So I'm gonna put a couple pictures up here. One is on this side, is of it with just the spacer lift on the front, the 2-inch spacer lift Supreme suspension from Amazon, I believe. And then the other side, I'm going to put a picture of with the 2-inch Toytec rear block. So it levels it out, the rear out a little bit more. I think it looks a little bit better. So the front's not sticking up so high, it's not so pre-runnery. Also, he took it to the alignment shop and he had an alignment done. So the only thing that they adjusted was the toe. It was towed in just a little bit. Actually, not that much that I would even worry about it. But that's something that we could have done here in the garage with a tape measure. It would have turned out just fine. So just a reminder, 2-inch Supreme suspension, front spacer lift, 2-inch Toytec rear block kit, BF Goodrich, KO2 all-terrains, 265 75 R17s. That is what he has on this truck, and this is what it would look like if you put it on yours. Okay guys, make sure you subscribe to our channel, like our videos, check us out on Instagram, Facebook, and we will see you on the trail.